think flummox is in there. And someone said to me, oh, isn't that word a bit too difficult for children? No, it's not. We need to stop underestimating children. Like, children are amazing. Like, they are like sponges. The best time for you to learn something is when you're a child, because you pick it up so quickly. And I think I wanted my books to have words that children may not have necessarily come across before, but it will be good to kind of like expand their vocabulary and introduce them to something different.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Conversation with myself, Francis Cole. Yet again, we have another exciting show ahead, which I'm very much looking forward to. Today, we've got a special guest. She's an author. She's a baker. She's a writer. She used to be an actress. I don't know, do you still act? Do you still do acting? Or should I say actor? Because the word actress is now banned in the UK or Western world. It's called actor. So don't mean to offend anyone when I say actress. I do mean actor. We've got Miss Dernel Gabriel. How are you, Miss Dernel?
I'm okay, thank you.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Third time with having you here.
Yes.
Yes. Let's start off with the book as an author, children's author. What inspired you to write books for children?
As a kid, I loved reading. It was my safe haven. I used to devour books like no one's business. So I always wanted to be an author. I always knew that I wanted to write a book. I just thought I would have written a chapter book. And the reason why I wrote a children's book is at the time, my goddaughter is 11 now. She's going to be 12 soon, actually. When she was younger, I made a point of every time it was her birthday or Christmas, that one of her presents would be a book. And I wanted it to be a book of a character who was Black. And I struggled a lot. I mean, I had to order them probably from America, but it was very difficult for me to find a book with a Black character. Now it's much more easier now, but back then it was difficult. And then so I thought, you know what, Dernel, write a book. And I decided to write a children's book. I just knew that I wanted my children's book to be about a little Black girl living her best lives. Because at the time, a lot of the books that I was finding, it concentrated a lot on Black hair. And while that is very important, I just also wanted to have a book about a Black girl's experience outside of her hair. And that's when Naya Moon came to life.
Yeah, and I think one of the most interesting thing about your book, as you said, what you wanted to mirror real life.
Yeah.
Is the way how Naya Moon travels the world.
Yeah.
And she's free, and it's almost because my kids love your book, love your book.
You.
It's almost like there is no boundaries.
Yes.
You can be everything, anything you want to be. And not only that, what I thought was so important, because it's about astral traveling, is you not only can be anything you want to be, you can go anywhere.
Yeah.
You know, and what was the concept behind that?
So there's two sides to it. I wanted to create a carefree Black girl. And I think that had a lot to do with me finding it difficult to be carefree as an individual, because I had so many boundaries that was stopping me from doing the things that I always wanted to do. So I wanted to create a character that was just completely carefree. I had a conversation with my mum, and I said to her, "Oh, Mommy, I'm writing a book." And then she was like, "Okay, what's the book about?" And I told her the concept of the story. And she said to me that when I was young, must have been about 3-4 years old, and I said to her, "Mummy, I'm going to travel the world." And I don't remember having this conversation with my mom, but my mom remembers this. And my mom said, "I remember thinking, oh my God, this little girl is crazy." And my mom thought that because I grew up in a small fishing village in St. Lucia. So the concept of a little girl, you know, traveling the world. I live in a house where we didn't even have electricity or running water. So if I'm telling my mom that, oh, I'm going to travel the world, my mom's like, where are you getting this idea from? So it was very odd for her. So when I told her what my book was going to be about, she was like, "You told me this when you were a kid." But I didn't remember this conversation.
So subconsciously, that's you in the book.
Yeah.
You wrote about you, and
I
that's
wrote
one
about
of the things
Yeah.
the mind is so good at doing.
Yeah.
It has information which is buried deep, and it comes out in ways we don't even realize it came out. And fast forwarding to your book, how well was it received by the people once it was done?
So when it was released in 2019, and the people around me were always pushing me to do this book. Like I had super supportive people around me. My friends and my family were just like, Dernel, yes, this book is amazing. So when it first came out, I sold some books. I mean, I didn't sell a lot. But then 2020 happened. And then we went into lockdown. And then the George Floyd situation happened. And then everyone was about, supporting Black businesses, supporting Black authors. And the book just flew off. Like, I just kept getting messages that this one's ordered. And then my Amazon was sending me, like, messages all the time saying to me that you've had this amount of orders. And then I was number 8 on the Amazon best-selling list for multicultural children's stories. Wow. And then I was number 6 for travel stories, and then it went down to number 4. So it just kind of like blew off in 2020, and I think it had a lot to do with the climate that we were in at the time. But the book is amazing. I think it's good. But yeah, it got really good feedback.
I don't think the book's good. I know it's good.
Thank you.
You know, it really, I mean, honestly, it's just so free.
Yeah.
Beautifully written.
Yes.
The illustration in there as well.
Yeah.
Very nice. And you're good with words, and you've got a very interesting relationship with words.
Yes.
How did that come about?
So, I'm a poet. I mean, I think I can still say that I'm a poet. I haven't written a poem in a while. Got some writer's block. But I'm a poet. So I wrote poetry and I performed poetry. And I would like to think that I'm always good at it. People said that I was good at it and the way I used to convey things with my words. Because I found it difficult to talk to people generally. But then when I wrote, it was like everything just came out. I think I had issues communicating my feelings and my emotions if I was speaking to someone. But if I wrote it down, it was like, yeah, they were like, wow, this is how you were feeling. So when I wrote this book, I initially thought, do I want to write it in prose or do I want it to rhyme? But then I thought kids love rhyming books. And so I thought it needs to rhyme. And I wanted to have words in there that, because there's some words, I think flummox is in there. And someone said to me, oh, isn't that word a bit too difficult for children? No, it's not. We need to stop underestimating children. Like, children are amazing. Like, they are like sponges. The best time for you to learn something is when you're a child, because you pick it up so quickly. And I think I wanted my books to have words that children may not have necessarily come across before, but it will be good to kind of like expand their vocabulary and introduce them to something different.
And then also, if parents read that book, it will be a point of conversation.
Exactly.
It will be a teacher moment.
Right.
You know,
exactly.
Let's get the dictionary. Let's look at this word.
Yeah.
And so, as I said, my daughters love your book.
Yeah.
When's the second one coming?
It needs to come out.
When is?
I'm not sure. As I said to you, I'm going through a bout of writer's block, and I think I've started it already. I've started writing it, but I think I'm a bit of a
perfectionist.
I don't want to say, no, I don't think it's perfectionist. I think I doubt myself a lot when I'm doing my work. I don't know why I'm like this, but I think I just doubt myself, and I'm like, is this good enough? Is this? Because it took me ages to put up Now Your Moon Travels the World.
But a lot of people suffer from that, and I say suffer because it holds people back.
Yes.
If we can go back to Now Your Moon, what mechanism or what factors did you use? So you know what, I'm putting it out there.
I think so. I'd written the book and I just put it away, and then I came across it. I think it must have been a year later or something like that. I came across it again and I was reading it and I was like, this is really good. I was like, this is good to know. Why haven't you done anything with this? And I think that's what it was. I was just like, and some of my friends were like, to know you're a waste girl. Like, why is it taking you so long to do this? Because it's done. The story is done. What's the problem? And So I thought, yeah, let me just get it over and done with, because it was self-published as well. I think they call it imposter syndrome. You know, you feel like you're just not good enough. I think that's what it is.
So for someone like you,
Yeah,
author, works with kids, used to be a radio presenter,
yeah,
bake,
yeah.
at what point do you decide this is good enough? What does it take for someone like you? Because looking at you, knowing you for so many years, you've always come across confident.
Yes.
So what does it take for you to say this is good enough?
Oh, that's a good question. And the whole confidence thing, I really think that's a facade. Like, I think a lot of people think I present myself as confident. I don't think that I am. But at what point do I realize, okay, Dernel, this is good? I think it takes a lot of trial and error, for one. And I ask myself, if I am somebody else, would I enjoy this? You know, do I like it? How does this make me feel when I look at it, or when I smell it, or when I touch it? Like, how does it make me feel? And if it draws something out of me, like an emotion from me, then I'm like, yeah. Then, because I think everything that I do, I feel like I put my feelings into it. Like, I feel like it needs to convey some kind of emotional reaction.
Do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know. I don't know. I think maybe it's a bad thing because I rely on my moods. For example, with my writing and my poetry, it was heavily reliant on how I was feeling, like heavily. So if I wasn't feeling something strong, like a strong feeling, then I wouldn't write. So probably that's not a good thing because I can't write on tap. But yeah, I think I've never really asked myself this, but thank you. That's something I really do need to think about.
Yeah, because it's weird hearing you say this, and you like even there's a time where there was a certain actor in the studio, you know, and you just started giving an actor pointers how to do their jobs, and now to hear you saying you're not confident, I'm like, okay, are we talking about the same person? You practically took my job away. You got me fired. So. Thank you for that. No, so let's go back.
Yeah.
You know, you grew up in a little fishing village, so you call it. What was that like? What was your childhood like?
My childhood was amazing. It was amazing, but it was also a little bit traumatic too. But it was amazing. So as I said, like, I grew up in a little fishing village. In my house, we didn't have. I was born in the same house as my mother on the same bed.
Wow.
Yeah. Which I hold to my heart so dearly because me and my mom are a day apart. Our birthdays are a day apart. And wow. I am the spitting image of my mother. Like the spitting image. So I hold that very dear to my heart that I was born in the same house, in the same bed as my mom. Like, you know. But it was amazing. My mom was a young mom. She had me when she was 20. She had my brother when she was 16. And my dad was around. I loved my dad to bits. Actually, my mom said to me when I was 4 years old, again, I said to her, "Oh, mommy, I love you, but I love my dad more."
That must have broke her heart.
And I said, you know, children have no filter. They just
Which is beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
They just say what they feel, right? And I said that to my mom. But as I grew older, I think I realized why I said this to my mom. My dad had a horrible life. A horrible life. Like he was obviously born in St. Lucia, and his mom and his dad left St. Lucia and they came to England. And they started their own family in England. And he was just left in St. Lucia on his own from a kid, right? So when I speak to my dad he just exudes sadness. Like I feel sad when I'm with him. So I imagine I said that to my mom because I felt like my dad needed that. My dad needed somebody to love him unconditionally and know that. And I said this to my mom at 4 years old. I love you, mom, but I love my dad more. And I remember being super attached to my father when I was in St. Lucia. I left St. Lucia when I was 8 years old. But I remember being super attached to him, even though essentially my mother raised me. I lived with my mom, but I was really attached to my father. And I had my brother who was 2 years older than me, and I used to follow him around. I used to climb trees, you know, swim in the ocean, like go in the river. Like it was amazing. Like I feel like every child should experience being in an environment like that. I didn't have much.
But you were free.
But I was free.
And you didn't feel like you didn't have much.
No, sometimes I felt like I did. Sometimes I did feel like I didn't have much, but
the love was there.
yeah, that's it. That is it. Because I feel like when I came here, I think that's what I was missing. I was missing the love. But back when I was in St. Lucia, I had that. Like, and I felt it. Like, kids need to feel loved and know that they're loved. And when I was back home, I knew it and I felt it. When I came here, I did not feel that.
The environment is different.
Yeah.
The culture is different.
Yeah.
The weather's different. Food is different.
Oh, that was
language is different.
Yes.
Everything is different. So when we go back to, let's go back. You coming over to the UK now. I'm assuming your first day in the UK was cold.
Oh gosh,
raining.
I came here in July and I was freezing.
Yeah.
Can
what
you
was
imagine?
the transition like?
Ooh, from moving
from St. Lucia to here.
So I remember I came off the plane and it was just cold. And I remember I remember this dress, and I remember I was wearing this yellow floral dress with some with some red canvas shoes. And I remember thinking, it's very cold. Why haven't I got like a jacket or something? Why hasn't these people giving me a jacket? It's cold. But obviously to them it wasn't cold, but for me it was cold. And I remember driving down Portnell Road and seeing all these like traffic lights and lines on the road. Something simple as like lines on the road.
Yeah.
What is that? What is that? That was just completely different. Eating was a problem for me. I remember my aunt taking me to McDonald's and literally forcing me to eat McDonald's, and I was like, no, I don't want this. And to make her feel better, I was like, I'll have an apple pie.
Just to compromise.
Yeah. But eating was a problem. I didn't eat a lot of anything. I think I probably started eating chips when I was like 15 or something like that.
So you in the UK at what age? 8? 8. So primary school, you did a bit of primary school
here,
in the
yeah.
UK. What was that like then?
Ooh, that was
the
interesting.
education system is very different.
Right. So they say that Black Caribbean children don't do very well in school compared to Black African children, for example. They don't do very well in school, right? And that's confusing for me. That doesn't make sense to me, right? Because when I first came to this country, I was playing the waiting game in the classroom, which did a disservice to me, right? Because I came and I knew a lot of the stuff that was already happening.
So when you said a waiting game, can you elaborate on that?
So they were teaching the kids things that I already knew. So I had to, instead of playing catch up, I'm playing wait up. Let me wait. Huge disservice. I remember one time that, I don't know if it was like an organization came into the school and they were basically trying to figure out everyone's reading level. And I remember I was taken into this room. I'll never forget this. I was taken into this room and they were giving me this very simple book. At that point, I was reading like chapter books like no one's business. It was nothing to me. So they gave me this simple picture book, right, to read. And this man was deliberately trying to make it seem like I was not reading well. Now I know, obviously, working in the educational system, now I know things like that was done because of like for funding, for example. So if you say like certain amount of kids in my school are not reading to a certain level, then they'll probably get more funding attached to like some kind of like reading activity or something, right? But as an adult, when I started thinking about this, I was like, what are they doing to us? What are they doing to us? Like, this man was sitting there telling me that I wasn't reading properly, and I was sitting there thinking, what? Like, no, I know what I'm reading is correct. Like, this book is a baby's book for me. This is nothing. But it was very difficult for me, but, you know.
You worked through it?
I went through it.
So do you think Do you think your education got hindered by moving to the UK
Yes.
because you wasn't challenged,
Yes.
so
Yes.
to speak?
Yeah.
So then you went up to secondary school, one
Yeah.
of the most difficult, challenging secondary school at the time.
At the time, yes.
Apparently it's completely changed.
Oh,
I can vouch for
yeah,
it. It's
it's
completely
amazing
changed.
now. Yeah.
What was that like?
I think the first day I was in that school, I saw somebody got kicked down the stairs. He touched her bum, and then she turned around and she just booted him down the stairs. Right? And I think you know who the person is.
I don't mean to laugh. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh. It sounds like the school. It sounds like the school I went to. Back in the day, can you imagine when we were in school?
Yeah.
Obviously, you're younger than me.
Yeah.
But still the same era. Can you imagine if we were in school, if they had even 10% of the policies they have now?
Yeah.
Every school would have been shut down.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know how our school stood for so long. What? especially now that both of us have worked in schools, right? It's like, this is insane. Like, remember there were times when if there was a fight in the corridor, they used to lock off all the doors and just leave us to do what we're doing.
I remember, I think my first day in year 7, my school, we got rushed by the year 10s.
We're laughing, but this is a trauma response.
So imagine, just picture this, right? Parents send you to school, you got a fresh uniform, you got that big bag with every single book in there. The bag is already heavier than it should be. And then you don't know anyone you're meeting, and the year 10s. And back then, it's so different now, because the year 10s compared to year 7s back then, they were huge. Like there was I don't know what they were feeding them back then. Because now you can't tell the difference between a year 8 and a year 10 or year 7 and year 9. Back then, and we got rushed. And welcome to St. George's. Yeah. You know? But I love St. George's.
So did I.
You know,
I think I had some of my best times was in that school. Was like in St. George's. And I think it was because of some of the friends. I wouldn't want to go back. That's for sure. I think because at that time in my life, I was going through a lot of stuff, but my friends in my school was like my, like my saving grace sort of thing. So I did enjoy it for the most part. I wouldn't want to go back and relive it. But I had some good times in there. And I think I had a lot of supportive friends at the time as well.
Because it was real back then.
Yeah.
Because especially the school we went to, there was a lot of foreigners.
Yes.
So everyone kind of like secretly understood
Yes.
the pain or the struggle or the loneliness, whatever it may be, that we were going through.
Yes.
So we became close as a unit, as a bond. What would you say would have been the challenges for you going back to as an author, challenges for you as a black author in this country?
So I think number one challenge was me not thinking that my book was good enough to be published in a traditional way by a publishing house. I didn't think that I would get a look in. I didn't even try.
Why?
Well, because at the time, a lot of black authors or up-and-coming black authors wasn't getting the opportunity, especially like a children's book with a black character that was damn near unheard of. I think one of the only books that was very popular back then is like Amazing Grace and Handa's Surprise, and these books were written by white women. So I just automatically thought, oh yeah, they're not gonna appreciate this book, so I'm just gonna have to do it myself. So that was the first challenge for me, thinking that it just wasn't good enough to be published via the traditional route.
And on top of that, you also thinking that your work is not good enough.
Yes, exactly. Okay. And then when I decided that I was going to self-publish it, I decided to get in contact with people who'd also done that. And that was also difficult. I think because in our community, not only in the Black community generally, but in the Black authors community, I think we lack so many opportunities that some of us just, well, not some of us, because not me, some of them just want to hold it dear to their heart. They don't want to share.
I've experienced that.
Yes, they don't want to share.
Because they feel almost threatened.
Yes.
But not realizing there's more than enough for everyone.
There's room for everyone.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
And if one of you advance higher, it creates more opportunity for everyone else.
Exactly. So that was a struggle. I tried to find people who'd done it and they just wouldn't. They were just like, oh, you just got to keep going. That's not what I'm asking you. I'm asking you, for example, what's the best printers I could use, or what's the best paper grade I could use? Do you understand? And you wasn't giving me, and I promised myself, like when I publish this book, I'm going to do a video and I'm going to explain everything in this video because people need to know. They're not, these people, me giving them that information is not going to stop the money from going into my pocket. It really isn't.
Yeah.
So that was one of the other issues as well. Like finding people that could, give me a hand.
But your book, strangely enough, surprising enough to you, not strangely surprising to you, you had a great support from a very well-known person.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So, again, during the whole 2020 lockdown, George Floyd situation, I put my book on a Black business group on Facebook. Said, oh, this is my book. This is where you can buy it. And then this lady messages me and she says to me, oh, okay, I've ordered your book, but I think there's something I can do for you, but I'll get back to you. So I was like, okay, thank you for supporting. Please leave a review, blah, blah, blah. I think 3 weeks later, I want to say, this person gets back to me and said, okay, I've done what I said I was going to do. I don't know what this woman's talking about. I've done what I said I was going to do. This is the link. Go and take a look at it. So I've pressed on the link. It's taken me to a YouTube page, and it's Duchess Sarah Ferguson's page, YouTube page. So I was like, okay. And then the intro, and then I see this woman with my book in her hands, and I'm like, is that fucking Beverley Knight? Right? And then Beverley Knight is reading my book on Sarah Ferguson's YouTube page. So now I've gone back to the Facebook to thank this woman who gave me this amazing hookup. And I was like, oh my God, thank you so much. And then I've clicked on it and then I was like, hold on a minute. Is that Beverley? Am I speaking to Beverley Knight? Because she was not put down as Beverley Knight on her Facebook page. And on her Facebook picture was when she was young. So when I clicked onto the page, I saw it was Beverley Knight. This whole time I was communicating with Beverley Knight. And she was just telling me how amazing my book is. And she's going to do, try and let everyone know about my book and all that. It was amazing. Beverley Knight.
And you still don't think your work is good enough?
I think my book is good. No, I do.
So where's number 2?
I think my book's amazing.
It is amazing.
I think my book is amazing. But I think it took me a while to get to that point where I thought, yeah, it was good.
So not only, with that, I mean, I think it's crucial for kids to read books that has a representation of them.
Yes.
For self-development, self-confidence, whatever else it may be.
Yeah.
So we thank you for writing such books. If we move on to you as a talented person, we're into baking.
Yes.
And look, we've
your mouth sounds like it's watering.
Ladies and gentlemen, we've had loads of guests on the show. Loads, and I would say about 1% ever give us something. The way I am going to eat this. So, what we're gonna do a live YouTube unveil. Look, it's sealed.
You're gonna do an unboxing.
First and foremost, the packaging is look at that. Yeah, honestly, look at that. Professionally done. Not too much, not too little. Very weighty. It's live. It's live. Yeah, I don't want it. What am I expecting to see in here? Talk us through it.
6 New York style cookies. They're plant-based.
Plant-based because are you a vegan?
I'm not a vegan.
Vegetarian?
Yeah, I'm a pescatarian, but I don't eat dairy.
Okay.
A lot of the things that I do is, they say necessity is the mother of invention. Because I struggle to find
Sorry. Look at this, right? There is ingredient notes. This is amazing. It even has my name on it. And then we don't stop there. Sorry, you can carry on talking now. Sorry. Necessity is the
mother of invention. I started baking because I wanted cookies, but I couldn't find any dairy-free cookies.
Yeah.
So I decided to just bake some.
Soft. I can just about smell it through the plastic. Yeah, so wow. Jesus is good. All the time. So these are different flavors.
Yes.
So ladies and gentlemen, sorry you can't have none with us, but we'll have everything, the link in the description. Look, see, I've seen a lot of t-shirts. People sell a lot of t-shirts, like they got the branding on the outside, and when you look at the label inside, this doesn't have the label. So look what she's done. Branding is there, and also there. Look at that. Yeah, and that it's not cheap, but you have to spend money to make money.
There you go.
Handmade with love. So yeah, information will be below where you can order them. I mean, amazing presentation alone. I know they're nice personally because when she first started it off, she brought me some at the studio. Was not as nicely presented as this, I must say, but this is amazing. Yes, so you couldn't find any cookies that you would enjoy. You said, let me go make them.
So I thought, let me make some. Let me bake some cookies. And then so I baked them and they were nice. And then I made other people try it, especially people who aren't opposed to vegan stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, try it. And they were like, I was like, but you don't even know that they're vegan. And they tried it and they were like, no, these are really good. You could sell them. People told me that I could start selling them. So I thought, let me start making the steps to sell them. I'm not currently selling them yet because there's a lot of things I need to do. But I thought, let me make the steps to start selling them.
I think when you start selling them, obviously we're going to get free donation every month. Every week, fine, I'll take that. No, but we'll definitely be supporting that.
Yeah.
And thank you. Is there anything that you believe you can't do?
No, not really. And I'm not even saying that to be like big-headed or anything. I think generally, anyone, if you try your best and if you practice, there's a lot you can do. I can't be something like a neurosurgeon or a doctor or something, but I feel like anything that you try, you can do. I wanted to learn how to draw, so I taught myself how to draw over the lockdown.
I asked that because it's important, because a lot of us, we hold ourselves back thinking we can't do that.
Yeah.
Because such and such does it better. So
Yeah.
and once you tell yourself you can't do anything, that's it, you won't do it.
Whatever you tell yourself is true.
Yeah. So you are what you think about.
Yeah, I 100% think that. I think anything that I'm not great at or I fail at, I think is because I did not put my all into it. But I am generally the type of person who one day I will just wake up and be like, oh, I want to try to do this. So I'll just try.
Going back full circle, now you teach young kids, you mentor them, you try to look after them. What advice do you give them to navigate through life better than... Because it's a strange one for the young ones. I believe the time is better than our time.
Oh, 100%.
But it's also more difficult than our time.
Yes.
Like more challenging.
100%.
They've got so much pressure than when we were kids.
Yeah.
But they also got the whole world.
They've got a lot of resources.
So it's a very tricky place to be. How do you help them navigate through them? What do you say to them?
I I think it's important to say that a lot of the young people in this day and age are incredibly fearless, for better or for worse. They are like Gen Z. I'm in awe with Gen Z. Like, a lot of people have a lot of negative things to say about Generation Z, but I'm like, those kids, they are about to change the world. They are going to change the world. And I think one of the things that I try push with the young people that I work with is a lot of young people will come and be like, automatically think they can't do something. And I'm like, no, yes, you can, and go back. So I thought one of the sessions I do with young people is cooking. And they start really young, from like 8 years old, in the kitchen. And sometimes they'll come in and they'll be like, in their head, they think we're going to make something like a smoothie. And I'm like, we're not making a smoothie. We're making curry chicken with rice and peas and macaroni and cheese. That's what we're cooking, right? And they're just like, but I can't. And my mom said I'm not allowed to use the oven no, we're doing it. We're holding the kids back by telling them that they can't do certain things. So they will come and be like, oh, but Miss, yes, you can do it. And I think it's because, number one, I think I worked with kids with learning and disabilities, and I saw how much they could do with a need. Do you understand what I'm saying? And I think to some extent we all have a need. I think, to an extent, right? There are some things that we're just not as good at as we are with other things, right? And we've all got different learning styles. Even as neurotypical people, even as a neurotypical person, I think you have a particular learning style, right? You learn better doing it this way rather than that way. And I think if we adopt that with every child, then they will learn better. There are some kids that I feel like, oh, he's not going to come back, or she's not going to come back in this kitchen because I'm just pushing them too much. But they come back.
Because they love it.
Yeah.
And most of them, it's the first time they've been challenged.
Yes, exactly.
Like, no?
Yeah.
Mum would have said, it's okay, go watch TV. But you saying I could go on, I could do it? Oh my God, it's like that rush.
Yeah. Even things as simple as like, because when the kids come into my session, I say to them, this isn't just cooking. This is a life skill session. This is a life skill session. So yes, you are going to cook. Yes, you're going to learn to follow a recipe, but you're also going to learn how to clean. You're also going to learn how to follow instructions. You're also going to learn how to listen, right? Like, if they're cleaning something and they're like, okay, I'm done. And I'm like, no, it's not cleaned properly. And they're adamant, yes, it is cleaned properly. I literally be like, come and stand where I'm standing and look at that. Is that clean? Would you eat from that? If I gave you this to like eat from, would you eat from it? And they'll look at me and goes, go back in the sink and go and wash that properly.
That is beautiful. I think for the most part, that's missing, challenging the kids.
Yeah.
And as you said it earlier, we're trying to protect them, thinking they can't do that, or we should do it for them.
Yeah.
We're not giving them enough credit and belief. Yes. No, you could do that.
Yeah.
I trust you.
Yeah.
Yes, you're gonna get it wrong.
Of course.
Yes, you're gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
But that's called learning.
Yeah. But that is the fear for a lot of people. The fear of making mistakes and the fear of failing. Once we get rid of that, because we are going to make mistakes, and yes, we are going to fail sometimes. That's just the nature. That's the nature of the game, right? But what's the end game? What's the goal? What's the ending goal?
To learn.
Yeah.
To get it right.
Exactly.
And if you get it right at your first attempt, you haven't learned. You got lucky.
Right.
Because you're going to have trouble doing it again.
Exactly.
No, appreciate it. So we've got a kid out there, young black girl, wants to be an author, really, really scared to get into it. She's thinking she's not good enough. She doesn't know anyone. What advice would you give her?
I would tell her to jump on the internet first of all. Like, we've got the internet at our disposal. So I'd say jump on the internet, see what's out there. Buy all the books that you can buy that are written by black authors. Because that's one of the things that I did when I started writing the children's book. I bought all black children's books. Like, all of them you can think of, I bought them. And it was great for me because I could just give it to my goddaughter. And it just made me realize, and the self-published ones as well, not the ones that were published by, I bought those anyway, but I concentrated on the self-published ones because that's what I was trying to do. And I wanted to see what they did that worked for them, what they did that probably didn't work for them and I wouldn't want for my book. And I learned from that. So I think researching is just very important. Going on the internet and finding out who's done it and how they did it.
Because what's really shocking was not after I dived into the Kosoma project.
Yeah.
I learned there's a lot of black books
Yeah.
out there and they're doing amazing.
Yeah.
They were not written by black people.
Yeah.
It really, really, really shocked me.
Yeah.
Like, how and why?
Yeah.
Amazing. So, I mean, for those, look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with author writing a non-black author writing a black book or a black person writing a white person or whichever way.
Yeah.
But I'm saying make it known.
Yeah.
You know, make it known
Yeah.
to the public. Don't try perceive it like it was written by the person of that
considering, and everyone knows this, considering it's super difficult for black authors to get their work out there, right? As I said, there were some books on there that they were not written by black authors, and you're just like, and as you said, they were great books. They were books that a lot of us probably grew up on.
Yeah.
But you're just like, what?
Yeah. So that's your camera. Close the show for us. How are you closing it? What are you saying to them? Anything you want to say?
Oh, pressure.
Never pressure. You could do it.
Thank you guys for listening to my interview. And one thing I would like to say to everyone out there is never lose your wonder. Never. That's it.
Wow. Just the way she said it. Never lose your wonder. And I was expecting a more deep dive. No, you were amazing. Thank you very much. Before you go, give us a quick 5 steps to writing a book.
These are the 5 steps to writing your book. First step is you need to think about the theme of your book or the storyline. And the second is to actually write your book. And the first draft is not going to be perfect. So just write it down. And then the more drafts that you do, the story will come to play. The third step that you're going to have to do is start researching about what kind of book that you want it to be, right? In terms of, do you want it to be a certain size? Do you want it to be hardback, paperback? Research all that stuff. Like, go on, YouTube is your friend. Google is your friend. There's nothing that you cannot find on Google. So find out what to use. If there are any softwares that you can use to format your book, or maybe you want to contact somebody to make them do the format your book for you, because not everyone is good at that sort of thing. And then you are going to find whether or not you want to publish your book in a traditional sense or self-publish. If it's traditional, then you need to find a literary agent, because you can't just go to a publishing house and be like, here. Find a literary agent. If you've got a big following on Instagram, then it's very likely that somebody's found you. And then the next step that you have to do is, after you've done that, publish your book, marketing. Marketing is super important. And although Facebook and Instagram and social media generally can be very contrived, it works. Like, you've got to play the game. So yeah, those are the steps.
Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it. If a young lady can come to the UK from the age of 8, be successful in everything that she does, learn how to bake, now working with young kids, she's an author, she's thriving and giving back to the community. Imagine what you can do. As she said, go on Google, go on YouTube. There's nothing you cannot find. You can do anything you want to be, as long as you believe. The only person that can hold you back from establishing your dream and doing what you truly love is yourself. So please let yourself go and travel the world, just like Naya Moon does. Till next time, love, peace, and happiness. Yes.
Oh.
Miss. Oh, yes. So